podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Network on Saturday, February 19th, 2022. This is episode 1869. Enjoy. Our annual survey is almost done. We'd like to get your thoughts. We want your feedback. Go to twit.tv/survey22 to take it now before it closes at the end of the month. The survey helps us understand our audience so we can make your listening experience even better. It just shouldn't take more than a few minutes. Go to twit.tv/survey22 to take it, and thanks in advance. If you'd like to support the Twit Podcast Network, you could join Club Twit for $7 a month, ad-free versions of all of our shows. We also give you access to the Club Twit Discord and shows like Stacy's Book Club, the Untitled Linux Show, This Week in Space, and a whole lot of special events. Plus, the Twit Plus feed with material that doesn't appear in any other podcast. Club Twit, $7 a month. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks for your support. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. If you want to talk high tech, I'd love to talk high tech with you. 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, still reach us. You can still call us, but you got to use Skype or something like that. 8888 Ask Leo. There's a website. I say this ahead of time so that you know if you hear something, you go, oh, wait a minute, let me write that down. No. We'll write it down for you and put it all at the website, techguylabs.com, for your perusal later, after the fact. Everything will be recorded. Everything shall be recorded and posted there, techguylabs.com. We actually put all the links that I mentioned, plus a transcript of the show with time codes, and the time codes are useful because later we'll post the audio and the video from the show, and you could jump to that part of the show and refresh your memory if it's not in the links. So it all should be there. techguylabs.com. Samsung Galaxy S22s, the variety of flavors should be starting to arrive this week. In fact, some people are saying, in fact, I got my text update saying it would come Tuesday, so we'll talk about the S22 Ultra next weekend. Early reviews make it look like a pretty good alternative, say, to the iPhone. Those are pretty much the big two in the U.S. iPhone and Samsung phone. But I think a lot of people, rightly so, I know I get a lot of questions, are saying, well, isn't there something less than $1,000 I can use for a smartphone? And yes, and I often recommend the Motorola brand, the Moto G9, the G Power. Those are good. Oppo, now OnePlus, I guess. Or is it Oppo now? I can't remember. OnePlus makes some very nice phones. They're good phones. They're fine phones. Samsung makes some less expensive phones. But I don't know why we focus on those. We call them flagships. Except that those are the ones with the most interesting parts. Right? That's really, that's the human way. You focus on things with the most interesting parts. The fastest chips, the bestest screens, the bestest cameras, all that stuff. And then it all trickles down. A couple of years later, you'll get, those high-end features in lower-end phones. So it all's good. It's all good. I didn't buy the new iPhone this year, though. And this is part of the problem all these companies have. Even if you are a fan of the bestest parts, you may look at these and go, well, I had the best parts last year. Are they that much better this year? No. Not with the iPhone. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know. It's interesting. We geeks have a different scale of measuring these things. I've seen a number of posts, for instance, Well, the Samsung processor, whether it's the Qualcomm or the Exynos, and depending on which region of the world you're in, you'll get one or the other. US gets Qualcomm, aren't as fast as the latest processors, the A15 and the Apple iPhone 13. Yes, that's true. But I think most people aren't saying, oh boy, I wish I had a faster processor in my phone. Maybe if you have a really old one. But even then, I don't know. I hear a lot of people with, S7s or iPhone 6s who say, yeah, it's fine. It's too bad Apple and Samsung and Google aren't updating them anymore and I have to get a new one. They're just fast, plenty fast. Your phone, you're not running the highest end, most difficult programs on the phone. For the most part, what are you using? Your Instagram, your Snapchat, your Facebook, your TikTok. Oh yeah, you make phone calls and you send text messages and that's about it. And it can do all of that. Even if you're shooting video, you're probably not doing high-end video editing on your phone. So I'm not going to worry so much about the best parts. And in fact, I haven't noticed any difference between the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 12. Now, I did skip a couple of years on the Samsung, so I figured, well, it's time to get the S22 Ultra and just see what the differences are. Mostly these days, we focus on the camera. There are other things to think about. The storage, the speed of the storage, the amount of RAM. All of those do impact the overall speed of the phone, or maybe even more of the convenience features, like how many things can run in the background, how aggressive the phone is about killing processes, killing programs that aren't in the foreground. That can be an issue if you're uploading photos from Google Photos and it gets, on the iPhone, for instance, it shuts it down after 15 minutes. Your photos aren't going to get uploaded. You want, on the other hand, they're aggressive because of battery life. That's the biggest issue, if you ask me. In fact, one cause for concern with this Samsung, the new S22 Ultra $1,300 phone, is it doesn't have the biggest battery. It's only got a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. It's got a relatively small bucket compared to the bigger buckets in other phones. But that's, you can't just talk about that by itself, because the processors do their best to sip at the battery, and then that's where it comes in with the operating system closing stuff down in the background to improve battery life. So it's all a holistic system. I hate to use that phrase. It's all a holistic system. And so looking at the processor speed alone, or the amount of RAM alone, or the operating system, none of that's going to tell you the whole story. So what's the bottom line on all of this is, don't worry. You like your phone? Keep your phone. Your phone getting old? You feel like you need a new one? Get a new one. You don't have to buy the most expensive one. That's just for us geeks. That's the one we talk about. That's all. That's the one we care about, because, we're looking at the high-end fancy stuff. I'm waiting to see if there is a furor over this Microsoft change in Windows 11. Maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. Windows 11 Home, there's two versions, Home and Pro, the business one and the home one. Since Windows 11 came out, you've needed to have online access to sign up, and you must have a Microsoft account to use it. There's little, fiddly ways around it, but, not recommended. And then the answer to that was always, well, you can get Pro and you don't need that. Well, now Microsoft says Windows 11 will also require a Microsoft account and online access to use. It'll be the only major consumer operating system requiring that. You on a Mac, you can skip, you probably won't, but you could skip having an Apple account with a Mac. You can even skip that on iPhones and iPads. You do need to get online eventually to activate the device, I guess. Android needs an internet account for activation, but doesn't require signing in to the Google account. Windows 11, though, does. What do you think? Is that unreasonable, Microsoft? There's certainly a convenience. If you forget your password, they can fix it for you. But there's also some control, isn't there? If Microsoft decides for some reason to discontinue your Microsoft account, there goes your Windows. You don't really own it, do you? And what about them knowing everything about you and keeping track of you? There's a privacy concern there too. I guess the workaround is going to be going forward. If you go to Windows 11 and you don't want Microsoft to kind of be looking over your shoulder, is to create a dummy Microsoft account that you use to activate and log in, and then log out and create a local account and never use the other one again. Shouldn't have to do that, I don't think. It seems, I don't think you should have to do that. Finally, good news from Google. They're going to follow Apple's lead and add privacy to your Android phone. That's good. Apple, according to Facebook, is costing Facebook $10 billion a month next year because they won't let Facebook track you on the iPhone. Well, get ready, Facebook, because Google ain't going to do it either. Today, they said, we're announcing a multi-year initiative. Oh, that's a bad sign. Multi-year? Why don't you just turn it on now? To build the Privacy Sandbox on Android, with the goal of introducing new, more private advertising solutions. Limit sharing of user data with third parties. I like that. Check. Operate without cross-app identifiers. Check. We'll see when they turn that on. Multi-year sounds like maybe 2025. I don't know when that is. Anyway, this is good. This is good. We encourage Google to do this, just like Apple did. And if it costs Facebook a little bit, so they can afford it. The estimate is that just the rebranding from Facebook to Meta alone cost them $500 million. $500 million just to change the name. They can afford it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone. They can afford it. That's going to be my new slogan. Used to be, it's not your fault. The computer or your phone's not working. It's not your fault, their fault. Now it's, they can afford it. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. That's for Kim Schaffer, our phone angel, who looks like she just broke out of San Quentin. You're wearing your stripes.
I don't think this would be allowed there.
No, it's pretty hip
I think they have to wear khakis.
Oh, they do? They don't wear, prisoners don't wear stripes anymore?
I'm not exactly sure, yeah.
That's old
I wanted
days.
to go visit. A friend of mine used to work there, and they have tours a few times a year, and there's very specific things that you can wear and can't wear.
Don't wear that.
You can't. I couldn't wear you can't wear jeans.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the shoes are very specific too.
Orange is the new black, as they say.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ms. Kim Schaffer answers the phones when they ring. 8888 Ask Leo. She's in charge. The lines seem to be full.
They are.
Who should I start with?
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Terry's in Seal Beach, and he has a warning, actually.
A warning?
Warning.
Are there sharks at Seal Beach?
There might be.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Good to see you.
You too.
Hello, Terry.
Konnichiwa, Leo.
Konnichiwa. Arigato.
Most people don't really know what the original translation of konnichiwa was. Would you like to know?
I would.
It was, hey, how are you today?
I don't think so, but I like it. I will start saying konnichiwa from now on.
So I do indeed have a public warning to everybody listening about, as Keith Olbermann would have said, the worst company in the world.
Oh, boy.
Frontier Communications.
Oh, gosh, they're well known as the worst company in the world.
Indeed, and let me just tell you very briefly about my experience and how I finally got their attention. I was with them for 2 years. 22 out of the 24 monthly billings were incorrect. I probably spent...
That's pretty bad.
I probably spent close to at least half an hour to an hour each month trying to get my bill corrected. And not only are they incompetent, but they lie. And a number of times when they actually acknowledged that they had made a mistake, the quote-unquote customer service person would promise me a call back the next day. Guess how many callbacks I got?
I'm thinking in the order of 0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so finally I'd had enough with them. I disconnected and transferred my 3 services to Spectrum.
See, you're lucky you had a choice. There are a lot of people don't have a choice.
Well, if you're in a place where all you have is Frontier, you do have a choice. You can sign a contract with the devil. And I would recommend the latter.
Sell your soul. Yeah.
Well, you will sell your soul if you deal with Frontier.
This is why competition is so important.
Indeed.
And there is a lack of competition in the internet sphere, and it's why we often suffer. Most people, I think it's 86% of the people in the country have only 2 choices, the phone company and the cable company. And a portion of them only have the cable company. And if that's all you've got, boy, then it's Frontier. Although, I talked to somebody last week who said their Frontier had gotten better, so maybe there's a future. They're kind of notorious for doing all sorts of shenanigans. Cory Doctorow is very scathing about them. He's for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, ironically named. He's very about, they're complaining about lack of bandwidth while they don't put in enough bandwidth, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm sorry. So did you switch to Spectrum? Is it better?
Much better. The only reason I switched from Spectrum to Frontier more than 2 years ago was because the rates went up. But let me tell you what the cherry on the ice cream sundae with Frontier was. They failed to port over my landline number of 22 years.
Oh, they have to. They're required to, but they can slow walk it, of course, and that's probably what they're doing.
Not only, no, it took me 10 days of going back and forth like a ping pong ball between Spectrum and Frontier. And finally, Frontier acknowledged that they had released the number, and the only way that I could retrieve it after 22 years of having it was to reopen a landline.
Yeah, of course.
With them for $100.
It was a clerical error. We are so sorry.
No, it was my fault, of course.
Oh, it was your fault?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know how I finally got their attention? I filed a complaint with the FCC.
Yeah, that gets their attention.
The FCC notified them. Guess who called me within 24 hours?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, you shouldn't have to do that, but unfortunately, that's often the case. The Public Utility Commission of the FCC, and just complain. They went through some hard times. I'm not making any excuses for them. They probably deserved it, but maybe they're getting better. I hope they are. I'm glad you have a choice, and it's a word of warning. A lot of people in the Southland had their internet changed and their phone system changed without permission, in effect, because the company I can't remember who it was, got sold.
It was Verizon.
Verizon sold that portion of the Southland to Frontier. Were you swept up in that?
No, I was with Spectrum at the time.
Yeah. It's really too bad. I don't know what the answer is, except that, I do know what the answer is, but I don't know if there's a solution to it. The reason all of this exists is it's tempting to blame the FCC that set up the duopoly in the first place, but really that was because they were lobbied heavily, and the telecommunications companies are among the highest spenders for government lobbying in the country, and as a result, they get sweetheart treatment in Congress and with the FCC. And they've been allowed to create this really untenable situation. Here in the country where the internet began, we have among the worst internet in the world for the highest price. It's really shameful. What we need is competition. I think it's coming. Elon Musk with Starlink, Google with their fiber. It's interesting. Wherever Google put fiber in, suddenly the costs of fiber from Verizon and AT&T plummeted because there was competition. That's what we all need. I'm sorry you had that trouble. I'm glad you found a better solution. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Apologize. I had to quit out on you because of the, how that is with the network. What's your question?
Well, the exact opposite of my experience with Frontier was with a cellular company that I loved, and I've been with them for 11 years now.
Yeah.
And I remember several years ago you were talking about your mom getting cellular service, and I was yelling at the radio, tell her about consumer cellular.
Okay.
But But here's the thing. I heard you. I caught the. I have to apologize. I get a little distracted during football season. So my attention.
Congratulations.
Especially on Sundays when I'm watching Red Zone and listening to Leo.
Oh, that's a lot. You're watching 12 games and me.
Oh, I have.
Are you a Rams fan? Did you get to celebrate last week?
No, I did not take part in the typical weekend or the Los Angeles riot that happens when one of our teams wins. But here's my question. I caught the tail end of somebody else asking you a couple of weeks ago about Google Fi.
Yeah, I use Fi. Yeah.
What really caught my attention is I'm hoping to start traveling again, and I really like the idea of the international data.
Yeah.
Able to roam in other countries without having to use the SIM card, especially in Japan, where it's a completely different system, and I always have to go to Big Camera in Tokyo and have them actually change the SIM for me.
Oh, crazy.
But
how often do you go to Japan?
Well, I've only been there a couple of times, and it's like
I love Japan. I would love to go there again soon.
Well, you know what Anthony Bourdain said about Tokyo?
What?
He said it's like taking acid. You never see anything the same way after you go there.
I think that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Very true.
I think that's true. You realize how civilized life could be. And ever since I went to Japan, I carry a handkerchief because they don't have paper towels in the men's rooms, and I just dry my hand on my handkerchief like they do, and I love it.
Well, you may not recall, but you and I have talked before on the air about Japanese toilets.
Yes.
Yes.
That's another thing we have in common.
And, I have to tell you, I'm an ordained minister in the Universal Life Church.
As am I. A third thing we have in common. Yes.
And we're the same age.
Yes. Well, my God, I'm talking to my doppelganger.
I am your doppelganger, your worst fear. But, kind of looping back to what you addressed at the top of the show, one of my concerns about going with Google Fi is Google knows everything I do already.
Yeah.
I have privacy concerns.
Honestly, I think Google's better than any cellular carrier. I mean,
Really?
Let's be honest. The cellular carriers are not notoriously consumer-friendly, any of them. Maybe consumer cellular is.
Was.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really liked about them, and that's another thing I have my reservations about Google Fi, is the customer service.
Actually, customer service is pretty good, and I haven't had to use it a lot. But because you're a paying customer as opposed to a free customer for most of Google services, they actually have support. I've been very happy with Fi. I mean, I have everybody. I have Verizon, I have AT&T, I have T-Mobile. I used to have Sprint, and I have Ting, and I have Mint Mobile. I do not have consumer cellular. But I have to say, I've been very happy with Fi. Hey, I have to run, unfortunately. But
I have one last fast question.
Yes.
Did you go to Bailey's Antiques when you were in Waikiki?
No, we didn't. We missed it. Sorry, Terry.
You were staying right by there.
I know. I was supposed to go, and I forgot.
$3,000 shirts.
I forgot. Thanks, Terry. If you're tuning in for Scott Wilkinson, Home Theater Geek, he is in the process of a move. Right now, he's moving. He's leaving after 30 years in Los Angeles. He's moving to Santa Cruz, where the 60s never died. And if he's going to fit right in with his tie-dye shirts and his long beard. And is Scott, I can't remember, is he going to be back next week, John, or is it? Yes. So this is the second week of his 2-week hiatus. So save your home theater questions for next week. Scott will be with us once again, this time from Santa Cruz. Cottontown, Tennessee. Hello, Kenny.
Hello, Leo. How are you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I do have a tech question, but I have a little Super Bowl story I want to tell you about.
All right. Since we weren't in the Super Bowl this year, even though we ought to have been, go ahead.
I know. But, hey, at least an NFC West team did win.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm glad the Rams won, actually. I was very happy, especially people like
I was pretty nervous up until about, but we were watching it on regular OTA TV.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, a door was opened by someone else, and it was like a little mini party, and we lost the the frequency on the local channel, but thank goodness for YouTube TV, if nothing else.
You know, I watched the whole thing on YouTube TV. I like how they do the highlights and all that stuff, and I just enjoyed it. Yeah. It was, and you know, it was a great game. And to watch Big Wit with a little tear in his eye, finally getting that ring, made it all worthwhile. So I was happy about that. So...
Yeah, I imagine everybody there won't have to worry about buying a beer at Wilshire Boulevard, except for Matthew Stafford, but another story.
What's wrong with Matthew Stafford?
Let's just say at the celebration they had Wednesday, he forgot to mix in some water.
Yeah.
Tom Brady. But.
Yeah. You know what? That seems to be a standard now, a standard of operation. So what can I what can I do for you?
Well, I'm kind of been looking in the market for some time for an Apple Watch only plan that's basically just for the Apple Watch. And I happened to come across a group out of the United Kingdom known as Truphone, Truphone, that does offer service here domestically. It's $9.99 a month. And you have like a 7-day free trial. It says it has unlimited data, voice, and SMS. And the nice thing that I like about it is that it works outside of the carrier that you have for your iPhone. And it's a company that they say they've worked well with Apple for years. My question is, are you familiar with that company per se? Because they do have plans for iPads and iPhones. And if you do, is that something you may want to recommend, or anybody on the chat room recommend?
Yeah, this is new to me, and I'm looking at it right now. That's cool. You still need a smartphone, an Apple iPhone, to set up your Apple Watch. But now Apple does have a way of setting up a watch for seniors and kids that allows you to, walk away. You set it up with your iPhone and walk away. So you could have a friend, I guess, set it up for you and put the Truphone. Yeah, there's no SIM, but established connection with Truphone. Using that
an eSIM with a family setup.
Yeah, and you use a family setup. Do you have an iPhone?
Yes, I do.
So that doesn't matter. That's not really what you're looking at. You're just looking at the cellular connection. And most of the time, most of the big guys charge $10 a month. You want to use Truphone because it's less expensive, or?
Well, that and just the fact that I don't want to go into a postpaid contract. I have been prepaid pretty much my adult life.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of having to mortgage something that you can just go ahead and pay for.
Yeah. And, of course, Truphone is global, too. So if, like our last caller, you're traveling, that would be a good solution. I have no experience with it. And I didn't know. I'm familiar with the company, but I didn't realize that they sold Apple Watch only plans, which is really kind of cool. That's a great idea.
Ironically enough, go to Google and there it was, basically.
Yeah. I'm just looking to see if anybody in the chat room has been using them. And it doesn't seem like yet, but I'll keep an eye peeled, or maybe somebody will call in, and you keep listening, Kenny, because that's a really cool idea. So I see, let me look at the U.S. pricing, because I'm looking at, it starts up with the U.K. pricing. So it's still $10 a month, but the idea is it's prepaid. Right? You see, that's what you want. You want prepaid.
Yes.
Yeah, and no contract.
And it sounds like a good idea, so I may just go ahead and try it.
It's tempting. It's tempting, yeah.
It is tempting.
Yeah. I wonder who's, this is the other question for them, and maybe it's somewhere on the webpage, whose carrier service they use. Because obviously there's no such thing as Truphone cell towers in the U.S. So they're riding on somebody else's cell towers. And the question is whose? Is it T-Mobile or somebody else? That might impact you because, depending on what you've got in Cottontown, it may or may not be a good connectivity. That would be the only thing I'd pay attention to. I don't see on the...
I'm looking at the reviews right there, and it's sort of a mixed bag, depending on technical issues and customer service. But like I said, if I get a free 7-day trial, it's worth trying.
Almost always, that's the solution with any cellular system, because there's no, it works great for me doesn't mean it's going to work great for you. It really has to do with what what cell towers Truphone is using and what's available in your area and where you go and where you work, where you live, where you travel to. All of that's going to impact your experience. It's a good idea. A week is not very long, but at least you can try it. It's an eSIM, so you don't have to wait for them to send you a SIM. And I would suggest driving around as much, to all the places you might want to be in that week to really make sure it's okay. You don't really need full-time connectivity with the Apple Watch either, remember. It doesn't, if it's not, you're not really taking phone calls on it so much as just you want your notifications, and stuff like that. Yeah. I've never used an Apple Watch without an iPhone, so I don't, but you're going to use your iPhone, so you'll be all right that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be worth to try it out. There's one little quick thing before I let you go. I listened to your show last week, and you were talking about radio to some extent. You mentioned CBS as far as owned and operated radio stations. They don't own radio stations anymore. I don't know if you're familiar with Entercom.
Yeah, Entercom owns them. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I know that. Yeah.
CBS, I thought.
I know it. It's a fascinating media time because thanks to the internet, all sorts of things are going on. CBS Viacom is for sale. CBS radio stations got sold a long time ago. Yeah, it's a very interesting unstable situation. As the old Chinese proverb goes, may you live in interesting times. And if you're in old school media, there is no more interesting time than right now. Cable companies disrupted, radio disrupted, newspapers. Meredith just closed 6 magazines, including Entertainment Weekly. The old-time magazine's been around for a long time. The internet has wreaked havoc, and I hope that it all gets better in the long run. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think I did know that, Kenny. I might have misspoken last week, but I do remember.
Well, I want to recommend one service that's sort of an alternative to tune in real quick, known as myTuner Radio, which, by the way, does have Twit on there. And what I like is it has a great Apple Watch app where you can pause and play and go through favorites and recents. They just updated it last Sunday, as a matter of fact, and it's a really good Apple Watch app. So
excellent.
I recommend myTuner Radio.
myTuner Radio. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at which stations it supports. Looks like it's got a complete selection. That's great. Thank you. Good suggestion.
You're welcome. You have a good rest of the show, man.
Thank you, Kenny. Always great to hear from you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And from Los Angeles, Al is on the line. Hi, Al. Or is it AI?
No, Leo, it's Al.
Al. Okay. Hi, Al.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Hey, I'm calling because I heard of there was a free Google software update for Google Chrome.
Yes.
And they're saying that they could take your laptop, and if you install this software...
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. For Chrome OS, you're talking about, to turn it into a Chromebook.
Yeah, it turns it into a Chromebook.
Yes. This is really exciting news from Google. So there's a company called Cloud Ready that Google, or a company's called Neverware, but they made a program called Cloud Ready that allowed you to install Chrome OS on older laptops.
Right.
Google bought them, and now they've got something called Chrome OS Flex, which it will even install on old Intel Macs, which is really cool. Now, the way it works is you put it on a USB key, and then you put it on your computer. The first thing I do, though, before you spend any energy on it, is go to the Chrome OS Flex website and look at the certified models list, which shows you by computer manufacturer which models are supposed to work. But what a great way to take an old computer that really is too old to put Windows or Mac OS on and turn it into something useful. I think the intent is mostly schools where they have a lot of these old computers and they don't know what to do with them.
They said mostly it's for like schools that, they could take and if you had old computers that you could put on there and then they could donate them to schools.
Yep. It's a great idea. It's a great idea. So, and I have heard from people who say my computer wasn't on the certified list, but it does work. So, but is this for you or are you going to donate it?
No, it's for me.
Yeah. What's the computer?
I have an older model HP. I don't have it with me, but I use that for work. But it's really slow.
Yeah.
And for personal finance, I have a MacBook.
See, this would be good for anything that you want to take online because it would be, that nice thing about Chrome OS is very secure. I'm looking at, there's quite a few HP models that are verified to work. There's a few with minor issues, which I wouldn't hesitate installing it on, but there are some with major issues expected. And those are the ones you probably, would stop on. But they have a whole list of them on the website. So if you just search for Chrome OS Flex, you'll find it, and it's. I think this is really. Thank you, Google, for doing this. There's so many old computers that end up getting kind of tossed. You could probably install Linux on almost anything, but a lot of people don't want to take. It's hard to do. This is a much better solution for people. They could put it on a USB key and install it. So absolutely, if you don't mind the time spent putting it on a USB key, try it.
Okay, and what? Okay, so I just need to get a USB key?
Yeah, in fact, they have step-by-step instructions on the website. Now, remember, this is the pre-release. It says Chrome OS Flex is currently released for early access testing and is not suitable for production use. But this is just
like the first model is like the first model of a new car coming out.
Exactly. Okay. Expect some problems. But this is, in a way, you're helping because if you have issues, you should report it. There's a send feedback button and say, here's my model number and here's what happened because you're adding to the database. So that's also a way. But they have a step-by-step on that page, Chrome OS Flex, that says create the USB installer. You can follow it, see if it works, what to do, and all of that. It's pretty straightforward. You need an 8 gigabyte or bigger USB drive to do it.
Okay, 8 gig.
You probably have a few of those thumb drives lying around, the little devices. Yeah. They used to come in cereal boxes. Yeah. No, not yet. Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you. I thank you for bringing that up, Al, because I've been meaning to mention that. I think that's big news.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks, Leo.
Thanks, Al. Have a good one. Chrome OS comes from Google. Basically, it's a Linux operating system, but it's locked down in such a way that it can only run the Chrome browser. If you're already using Chrome, you kind of know what you're going to get. And for people who do everything in the browser, get their email, search the web, shop, bank, that kind of thing, it's a much more secure operating system because it's so locked down. And so a great way to take an old Mac, old Intel Mac, for instance, that, can't run the modern version of Mac OS and put that on there, or an old laptop. I think thank you, Google, for doing this. And, they bought this company, Neverware. They bought them, and I think that they've really put some effort into this to make it work, which is really, really, really good. Really, really good. Mark on the line from North Florida. Hey, Mark, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. I wanted to ask you about peripherals for a Mac Mini that I'm hoping to get when the next bunch comes out.
Okay.
But I think it might help to tell you where I come from. I've been listening to Twitch shows starting back when I had iTunes on a PC, and I would subscribe to stuff and download it.
Bless you.
Rewritable CD.
Back when it was hard. Yeah.
Listen in my car.
Nice.
I would take a little disc player that I plugged in a cassette adapter to my work truck.
That's when that's when podcasting was brand new, and it was hard work to listen to one. And I'm very grateful. Thank you.
And just for technical background, I worked for the FAA since 1975. I'm an electronics technician.
Cool.
And to me, something new is 10 years old.
Yeah, because flight safety comes first. Absolutely. Thank you.
I work on systems that were designed in the 70s and 80s still.
Where do you come down on this 5G and altimeter thing?
Well, one of the things, and I'm a technician. I'm a bottom of the food chain guy in the world. I call that you're on the ground. You're where the rubber meets the road. That's the most important person of all. Yeah, you see the little orange and white buildings out on airports. That's the world that I'm around. Awesome. So one of the things the FAA has always been, I think, really good about is
what do you call it in the Windows world, where they consider the old software and
legacy. Legacy, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the FAA is big on legacy treatment of aircraft, and there's a lot of places pilots can go and not even have a radio. So in that respect, the 5G harkens back to the FAA allowing equipment that was designed a long time ago to still be in service.
That's right.
So as far as 5G, I agree to the emphasis of safety, of flight safety, to block it if necessary.
Yep.
But I'm certainly somebody that in the technical world, I always look forward to the newest thing, which takes me to a lot of your comments on the Mac Mini with different shows that I was.
We're very excited because it looks like the evidence is getting stronger and stronger that they will announce that new Mini March 8th.
I hope so. I'm ready.
Me too.
I use my 10-year-old do-it-yourself PC.
Oh, it's time.
Occasionally for audio editing. I do a podcast, and occasionally I get pressed into duty to do the edits of our calls. And I can make one change, and it'll choke my old computer for 5 minutes.
Yep. You're going to love your new Mini. So what can I do to help?
Well, the question is, I've seen the Mac keyboards and the to me, what looks like an odd mouse that Apple.
You can use any PC keyboard and mouse on it.
Okay, there's no advantage to their product?
Just that the Windows key has an Apple logo on it. That's the only difference. There are some special keys that are unique, but there's always a mapping. So, yes, you can use any USB keyboard and mouse. They'll work fine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I do myself. I don't use Mac keyboards for the most part. So
yeah, I've heard you talk about keyboards and the things you like, but I'm not a typist, so I have to two-finger everything.
The one thing I am going to do, there's a keyboard, actually I already have it, that lets you switch back and forth, because I'm going to have a Mac Mini and a PC on the same monitor, and I want to be able to press a button on the keyboard, now have it be typing to the Mac, press another button, type to the PC. But there's a standard for keyboards. They're human interface devices, and that standard is adhered to by both Mac and PC. I would never get an Apple mouse, ever. Ever. I always, in fact, this is the mouse I use on my Mac right now, is a standard, old-fashioned, probably 10-year-old Microsoft IntelliMouse, and it's perfect. And you can always map everything easily.
I appreciate the value of something that works.
Yes, absolutely. This just like you in this case. I think I bought 10 of these IntelliMouses a few years ago because I was afraid they were going to stop making them, and I have a little reserve in my wire closet of unopened mice in case I need them. And then, the only thing is the Command key versus the Windows key. But you quickly learn that that's not a Windows key; that's a Command key. So you've never used a Mac?
I've got an old MacBook Pro that's like 8 or so years old that I picked up used last year just to play with, but not very much because it's slow and old, so it's a little tiresome. Yeah.
So you're familiar with the essentials of the Mac operating system. So yeah, I think that you're going to be very happy. These new Minis with this new Apple Silicon should be killer. I've been saving my pennies for a year waiting to get this. So I'm very excited.
Is there anything wrong with my thinking about going for a Pro or a Max, assuming that they come out?
My suggestion, unless you know you need a Max, is to save the money and go with the Pro. I did that with the laptop. The big difference is the amount of GPU, the graphics processor. So unless you're using software that wants a high-end GPU, you could save money by getting the Pro. In every other respect, the Pro is just as good, including, by the way, it has that playback chip. So it plays back ProRes and all of that natively on a specialized chip. So it's really just for things like maybe Photoshop or Final Cut if you're doing a lot of rendering, things like that.
Yeah, my main thing will be audio, which
you don't need that.
Adobe Suite.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need a G. I mean, you might. Adobe often uses the GPO. I can't remember if Audition does or not, but the Pro is going to be so much faster than anything you've ever seen anyway that you're going to be very happy with it. I don't know how much difference there'll be in price. It might only be a couple $100. I'm thinking the same thing. Should I get the Max just kind of for future proofing? I'm going to look at the price and see how much difference there is. Mostly, what you really want is to get a lot of RAM. Although again, these Apple Silicon is much more economical with RAM than the old Intel parts were. So getting the other stuff, the quality of life stuff first, and then if you still have a little money left over, you can get a Max. But I don't think you're going to need a Max.
Okay. Cool.
We'll both be watching
talking to you
with March 8th. Hey, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Leo.
It's my pleasure meeting you. Take care. And thanks for the good work you've done making air travel so safe. Safest way to fly. Or drive. Or walk. Or bicycle. We don't know, Dwindle. We don't know. They haven't really done a Pro desktop yet. So it really will depend on, we just don't know what those SKUs will be. In theory, you could go a lot more, but remember these, the way they do this unified memory is a little different. So 32 is probably enough for anybody. Alex Lindsay's going to want to get 64 or 128 or 256. It just really will depend on how they do it. If they may do dual CPUs. We just don't know. Currently, it's 32 on the laptops. There's a lot of questions that will be answered on March 8th if they have that event on March 8th. What did we get, Anthony? We got the Max, I think. What's the Max unified memory? I think it's 32, yeah? Yeah, no, there's 64. Never mind. So we got him a 64 gig machine. God, that's got to be enough for anything. The nice thing about the unified memory, if you get the Max, is the Max uses that memory for the GPU as well. So you, in theory, have a better more GPU space. Last week's Mac Break Weekly, I asked Alex Lindsay this exact question. He talked about it from a pro perspective. He says, the high-end NVIDIA cards are still better, mostly because they support things like, CUDA, that are not supported by the Apple GPUs. Yeah, see, that's the big difference. You don't get CUDA, but you get a lot of RAM for textures. So if you have giant texture maps and stuff, so it's a mixed bag. Alex did a good job explaining that. It's exactly right, Dwindle. That's a good way to put it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Johnny Jett, our travel guru, coming up in about 25 minutes. Dick DeBartolo, our Gizmo guy, also ahead. Now, I said something I should probably clarify. We need a way to put asterisks in radio shows. Footnote. Whenever I mention a date of an Apple event, that's pure, unadulterated speculation on my part. But the rumor mill and past history and a few little clues indicate Apple may have an event coming up in the next month or so. They've done them in April in the past. The clue is the Central Asian Product Database. When you release an electronics product, you have to go to the FCC in the U.S. and the various radio telecommunications agencies in other countries to show them the device to make sure it's compatible. You can sell it. You have to get that certification before you could sell it. And in the past, this has been a good indicator of an upcoming product from a variety of electronics companies because they have to get these in the database ahead of time. In this case, Apple put 4 new Macintoshes in the database. 4 we have never seen, 4 new model numbers we'd never seen before, all running macOS Monterey. That's usually a pretty good indicator that a new product is imminent. There's also this rumor that March 8th will be an Apple event. That's a little less well-founded. Comes from the rumor mill. People like Mark Gurman, who's very, very accurate from Bloomberg. So putting 2 and 2 together, I think it's, a high likelihood, better than 75%, that Apple will have an event next month, probably March 8th. The date's a little bit funny, but probably March 8th, possibly later. And the real question mark a lot of people have had is, well, it's pretty clear that in that event, as usual, they'll announce a new iPad Air. They'll announce possibly, maybe an iPhone SE update. That's typically when they would do that, a 5G SE2, something like that. Not necessarily would they introduce new Macintosh computers. They've got the Worldwide Developer Conference coming in June. That is often when they announce new computers. But the fact that these 4 Macs are in that database gives us hope, I tells you, that there might be new Macs coming out in a couple of weeks. And if it is, what I and obviously our Al and others are hoping for is a new Mac Mini. They've updated almost everything now with Apple Silicon, these new chips. There's only a few Intel things left. There is already an M1-based Mac Mini, MacBooks M1 and M1 Pro and M1 Max, even an iMac with an M1. But the 13-inch MacBooks and the iMac and the Mini and the MacBook Air all have the first M1 chips, which are a little bit lower power, the kind of low-end devices. The only ones with the high-end M1 Pro and M1 Max are these new MacBooks. Very nice, by the way. Love them. And I think that it's likely they said this is the year, that by the end of this year, everything will be updated. So we expect an iMac Pro, a Mac Pro, and Pro versions of the Mac Mini, and maybe an updated version of the MacBook Air sometime this year. And I think this spring, most likely, a Mac Mini. And I'm actually I've mentioned this before, more of a fan. I had an iMac Pro, very, very expensive iMac. They're high-end iMac. And it's the problem is that the screen is tied to the processor. Yeah, that's nice. That's elegant on your desktop, fewer wires. It's pretty. But it's not very upgradable because it's all integrated in. And I kind of like the idea of separating the screen from the, I have a nice big 55-inch OLED screen, a computer screen that Apple doesn't sell. I would like that to be attached to a Mac, so a Mini makes more sense for me, just a desktop, or maybe a Mac Pro. Anyway, that's why a lot of us are interested in the Mac Mini. It's traditionally been Apple's least expensive Macintosh, and there's only a kind of a low-end one in the Apple Silicon. So that's the asterisk. That was a long asterisk. That's the little footnote. The little footnote to the show is everything I say is speculation because we don't know. It's all just the rumor mill. Back to the phones. 8888 ask Leo. Actually, that was Mark, not Al, wasn't it? Mark's looking at the Mac Mini. David's on the line from Venice Beach, California. Hi, David.
Hoi, hoi, hoi. Hoe is het vandaag?
Oh, hoi, hoi.
That was Dutch. Or hey, 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 how are you doing today?
Oh, say it again.
Hoi, hoi, hoi. Hoe is het vandaag?
I love it. Hoi, hoi, hoi. That's good.
Hoe is het vandaag?
Yeah, I don't.
There you go.
Good. Thank you. Are you Dutch?
Belgian, actually.
Belgian.
Which is one of the national languages, yeah.
So you're from the Low Countries. They're all kind of the same.
That's right.
Yep. What can I do for you, David?
My phone, my iPhone SE.
Now, David, were you the guy who called last week from Venice?
No.
Okay, because I had a guy call, I think his name was David, call from Venice Beach last week and was accosted during the phone call, had to hang up because some guy was yelling at him. They almost got in a fight, and I just want to know if that was you. So you're fine anyway.
I was the one who fixed the fight. I was the David who fixed the fight.
Okay. Belgians are notoriously, no, not at all. Very peaceful people. What?
Exactly.
So you have an iPhone SE.
Yeah, and I dropped it, and there's one crack, and of course the crack in the screen is exactly in front of the lens. Take the picture. I know. So my pictures are funny now. They look weird, artistic, but not what I want. Now my question is, of course, would Apple fix that for me? Would it be free? Would it be expensive? Or is there a website that you would know?
Apple will fix it. In fact, now finally, thanks to Apple, you can go to a third party and get it fixed, and they'll give them the parts. So you can go to someone like iFix, iFix, or the local guy down the street, and he will probably be able to get the parts for that. So I don't remember what Apple charges for a screen replacement. It's not horribly expensive. It might be $100. The one thing I would say is, maybe you heard me with my big long asterisk, we probably will see a new iPhone SE in 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So,
and, do you make it cheap for us?
It's not going to be. It'll be $400 range, $400 to $500, same as the old SE. This is the replacement version, basically.
Yeah.
So you can't use the camera. It's kind of annoying. So you might want to say, just look, I'm going to replace it. It's not horribly expensive. There is a pricing chart on, and we'll put it up in the show notes at the Apple support for, I don't see an SE. Let's see, 12, 11, 10, 8, 7. SE screen replacement. You have the second generation. Well, it doesn't matter. $129. So it's not horrible.
No, that's true.
It's less than buying a new phone. But, so it's up to you. A new phone will have some new features.
All right. Well, yeah, no, I don't need the features. I just need to make phone calls and get them in and text them.
And do your selfies. You just need your selfies, man. I need my selfies. Why is there always a crack across David's selfies? Well, now we know.
What? Exactly. All right. Well,
all right, David. Pleasure talking to you. Hoi, hoi. Bye. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Yeah, well, this is actually a good chart. I haven't seen this before from Apple. iPhone screen repair. Accidents happen. If your screen gets cracked, we can help. And then you just bring it to the Apple store. But third parties are now doing it too. Officially. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number. Christy on the line from Southern California. Hello, Christy.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, just ducky.
Just ducky. Well, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, but I do have a really important question that I'm wondering about, and I hope it's not too political for you. I'm not a techno anything, so I'm coming to you. I'm just curious, if our country had a cyber attack, what is that? What is the picture of that, and how would it affect me and my little playtime?
I don't want to scare you.
I know. I didn't know if you wanted to answer that.
I don't want to scare you. In the lead up to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, whether that happens or not, there have already been a number of cyber attacks. In fact, U.S. intelligence believes that the Russians often use Ukraine as a test bed. About 75% of the ransomware attacks we experience worldwide come out of Russia. There's a very active, very skilled set of hackers in Russia, organized crime, criminals who use technology to rob. People don't need to rob banks anymore. If you've got the skills, it's much easier, much safer to do it online. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people out there with these skills. If for some reason, China or Russia, both of which have very active, very accomplished hackers, decided to attack us. There are a number of points of vulnerability. What Russia did, for instance, in the Ukraine last week was bring down the banking system with a denial of service attack. So it wasn't for very long. It was probably just a warning shot, if you will. Mm-hmm. But if I were going to attack the United States, if I really wanted to hurt the United States, there are a couple of places I would go after. One is the financial system. It's highly computerized. It's very vulnerable. Even more vulnerable is our electric grid. So, in fact, we already know, because the electricity in this country is run not by the federal or even state and local governments, but is often run by private companies who are franchised to do that. They have varying degrees of skill in protecting themselves. Many local electrical companies are not at all protected. And when CISA, the U.S. Cybersecurity group, goes in and looks at these, they have reported that many of them have already been compromised, that there's already malware in their networks not triggered, ready to be triggered. And so there's been the federal agency is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, and their job is to protect our infrastructure against such attacks. And so they're being very active. They're only about 4 years old. They're very active in going to these power companies and other infrastructure companies and helping them lock it down. If we ever were to be attacked, those are two areas where we could grind to a halt, but there are many others. We only have 5 days worth of food in our food supply at any given time. So if you wanted to attack a country, especially a country like ours, is very highly computerized, going after the food supply would be another place where you could really attack them. I've read a number of books about this. There are a lot of experts who believe that is the next front. Okay, so I don't want to scare you. So here's the other side of that story.
No, that's okay. I want the academic.
It's good to know. We are vulnerable, and there are many points of attack, but financial, electrical, and food would be three, massive vulnerabilities. Imagine, if you didn't have electricity for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you couldn't, if we didn't have food in our food supply. Where would you get food? Where would you go? There's nowhere unless you're growing tomatoes in your backyard. And then, of course, the financial infrastructure in this country. Imagine the stock market crash times 100. So there's some areas you could really attack. The reason that I don't think it's going to happen is because, A, we have similar capabilities. Remember, the thing that kept nuclear war from happening was something kind of a crazy idea called mutually assured destruction, or MAD. The idea that if you attack us, we're going to attack you, and neither is going to survive. So there is some deterrent in the fact that I would hope, the NSA and other very sophisticated intelligence agencies within the U.S. have similar capabilities. So that's number one. Number two, at least with China, for sure, we're economically tied together. It would hurt China if our economy collapsed, most definitely. So, I think in some ways the best prospect for world peace is world trade, is becoming interdependent. We're interdependent whether you like it or not. Russia's a little bit of a outlier in that we don't really rely on Russia and they don't really rely on us. So that may be another issue entirely. But at least with China, I think that the fact that anything they do to us is going to hurt them in one way or the other just as badly is perhaps protecting us. So I think it'd be foolish to be running around scared.
No, I'm not that.
Yeah, wouldn't be a bad idea to have some.
Country has some retaliation.
I do believe that I don't know for a fact, because of course the best way to, cultivate something like that is to do it in secret. But I know the NSA is pretty darn sophisticated, and I would imagine that they're doing the same thing. Now, a country like China has some very good abilities to lock itself down. Because they're a totalitarian, authoritarian regime, they don't have the same situation with, for instance, the electrical grid, because they can enforce rules, strongly. and so their grid may not be as vulnerable. Certainly they're, paying attention to this kind of thing. Their food supply is. They've had disruptions in the past. They had a famine that killed millions not so many decades ago. So I think we're all in this together these days. And I think, I and many others have thought that we should make cyber warfare one of those forms of warfare that's protected by the Geneva Accords, a modern Geneva Accords that would say, look, we're not going to do this because it would be too devastating to the civilian population. That's why the Geneva Accords exist. And maybe it's time for us to do the same thing with cyber warfare. It could be devastating, absolutely, because we're so dependent these days, right?
Yes.
And that's just the nature of modern society. But so are they. So are they. That's the good news, I guess.
Well, that was great, Leo, and your voice is so soothing. I already feel better.
Yeah. I don't think it's something to worry about. Yeah. I mean, look,
I was mostly just curious.
Yeah. We're vulnerable because, we are, and we just rely on computer technology. And one of the things ransomware has taught us is that we aren't very well protected against attack of any kind, whether it's just malicious, organized crime, or nation states. In particular, nation states, they have very, very good skills. Christy, fear not, sleep soundly. We'll all be okay. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, Leo.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah. He's been everywhere, man. He's our traveling guru. He helps us travel better with tech. Johnny Jet, he's here and in the house. JohnnyJet.com is the website. Well, in his house anyway.
In my house, exactly.
In a house. He's also on the Twitter, Johnny Jet. Instagram, Johnny Jet. Do you have a TikTok?
I do, but you know what? I don't. I mean, I do, but I don't use it, but I need
it's
to.
Like me. I have a TikTok, but I don't use it. I'll leave that to the kids, John.
Well, my wife's on there a lot. Not posting. She's, monitoring and
monitoring it. That's what they call it, right? I know my wife's monitoring it when she laughs out loud every 3 seconds.
It's a time sink. That's a problem.
It's totally a time sink. So, Johnny Jet, a couple of things I want to ask you, and I know you have some things to talk about. They announced the DOJ that they're going to prosecute 80 people for disrupting flights, which I thought, bravo, until I saw that it's tens of thousands in the last few months alone or something. I mean, it's incredible.
I know. It's just ridiculous, although they say the numbers are going down from last year and the year before, but there's still a lot of insane people out there.
Don't be kooky on a flight. They should, just stop serving alcohol on planes. I guess that's when there'd be riots.
It's not the alcohol.
Oh,
I think a part of it is it, but a lot of the planes stopped serving it during COVID because of first of all, it costs a lot of money,
right?
And that's probably the number one reason.
They don't make money though. I mean, they charge for drinks.
No, I think just to get. I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I heard just to get a can of Coca-Cola through the security, because everything has to be screened, is like $4 or $5.
Oh, all right. So they're losing money when they sell you beverages.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I can understand. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's some airports, by the way, like Pittsburgh, where, on the other side of security, they can only charge, they have a mall, full-on mall, where they can only charge regular prices, which I used to love. I haven't been to the Pittsburgh airport in probably a decade, but I heard they're still doing it. But anyway, that's another story.
FAA
cost them a lot of money.
Investigates unruly passenger incidents. At current year to date, 94 reports of unruly passengers, 255 of them related to face masks. Of those 394, 59 enforcement cases initiated. So most of the time, they may pull over. They may let you off. They may arrest you, put you in airport jail.
They say, although it seems like it's more than that. But the CEO of Delta, has been trying to get this no fly list for anyone who's been convicted. Although this week Republican politicians have actually opposed it because they say it's not fair, and because most of it's because of masks.
Right. It's politicized that along with everything else.
Totally.
$37,000 per violation up to for an unruly passenger. Just keep that in mind and be nice. Fly nice. Put your shoes on. Don't put your hair over the back of the seat. Don't kick the seat in front of you. And don't jump up on the cart and imitate King Kong. None of that allowed. It's out.
For sure.
The other story.
Did you hear about that one woman cruising around Orlando Airport on a motorized luggage?
No.
A motorized luggage?
Well, we've seen those. In fact, Dick DiBartolo's mentioned those many times. You can.
I've ridden one. They're great.
Yeah.
Although I think they're illegal in the airports. But
oh, really? Oh.
She was evading police in the Orlando airport because she was too drunk to get on the plane. And then
I'm driving off my luggage.
I mean, she got arrested. She spit on the cops. She defecated in the police car.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, this is bad. I mean, don't Google it.
Where do these people come from? Go away. Go live on another planet, please.
But the good news is, things are opening up. TSA yesterday had 2.2 million people pass through security checkpoints. 2 years ago on the same day, pre-pandemic, 2 million. So up over 200,000.
So we're traveling more than ever.
Well, we're getting there because actually in 2020, right before the pandemic hit, there was actually a little bit more. But we're getting there.
Wow.
But also, Canada announced this week that they're going to relax the rules on COVID testing. Instead of doing that expensive PCR test, you can now do an antigen test or a molecular test. Is that how you pronounce it, by the way?
PCR, you mean?
No, not the PCR. There's antigen and there's a molecule.
Oh, there's a fast. It's another fast one.
But you can't do the home tests on these.
Okay.
But if you're unvaccinated and you're a foreigner, you cannot get into Canada. But if you are vaccinated, you don't have to quarantine, which you couldn't before. I mean, you didn't have to do before. But anyway.
Right.
But also, Vietnam is going to open up. Japan said they're going to start loosening up. Mongolia, Papua New Guinea, Austria, by the way. Australia we talked about last week. Austria is also going to start lifting a lot of their restrictions, which have been really tough. And Germany and Switzerland and Slovakia. So it's the world is getting bigger.
Wow.
Which is good to hear.
Yes. Yeah, whether it's over or not, it's over. That's what I like about it. It's like we're done. We don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
let's
don't
just
want to do
go
the
back.
lockups.
Yeah,
you just
no
have
more
to do
lockups. Yeah,
they're saying if you're vaccinated, boosted, it's very little risk.
Yeah,
unless you have comorbidities.
I feel bad for people like your dad, people who are vulnerable. But I guess they. But
he got it.
He got it. I know.
And he's okay.
He was
fine.
Yeah, because he was vaccinated.
Yeah.
Good for him.
93. He got it twice.
There is a kid. He's 19. He's in school. Who realized that every plane in the country is tracked by a federal database that's open to the public. Anybody can see. So he decided to get the tail numbers for a few big people's planes like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. And he has Twitter handles that you can follow and see where these guys are. Elon hates it. He said it's a security issue. No one should know where I am. It should be a mystery, but it's public, right?
It is, but I would hate it too if I was famous. Also, these guys are always saying that they're working for the environment, but they're cruising around in these big private jets.
Well, that's the other thing. They talk about how much fuel they use and how much environmental consequence. But still, it's just fascinating to watch. I was watching Jeff Bezos. He left Palm Springs, flew to Barcelona, stayed there for a couple hours, I guess, to refuel, and then on to somewhere else. And that's kind of I feel like, boy, that's kind of the life of a jet setter. How fun is that?
For sure. My old neighbor used to be Robin Williams' private flight attendant.
Nice.
And actually, I gave her a bunch of Johnny Jet hats, and she put one on in the plane. I guess he wore it once. I wish I had a picture of that.
Wow.
But anyway, she would be going to Japan one day. A week later, they're going to Europe or Mexico.
Amazing. So this guy, Jack Sweeney, there's nothing wrong with, you can't stop somebody from going to the ADS B exchange and looking up the tail number and finding out where it is.
Now, you can go to flightradar24.com.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite apps, by the way. And you pay, I think it's $3.99 or $4.99, and you hit the AR in the upper left-hand corner. And whenever there's a plane cruising by, and we live close to LAX, and I'm usually playing volleyball, and all of a sudden I'll see like a Emirates A380 taking off, and I'm like, there's Emirates, and they're like, they're not Emirates, you're lying. I just pull out the app and I just click it, and
See?
there you go.
I was
15 hours
the
to
other
Dubai.
day. I was in the backyard. A jet flew over. I said, we don't see a lot of jets flying over our small town. So I did the same thing. I looked it up in the database. They were flying to Mexico. So it's kind of cool to look up there. Go, oh, there they go. They're on their way. I like that.
Yeah. You know, one of the best places to spot planes at LAX is In-N-Out Burger or the Proud Bird restaurant. And I often there when I'm there and I bring out that app and people are like, are you kidding me? This is the coolest thing. They just start downloading it. And then other people are like, this is really risky. I can't believe they show this information. Isn't that a security risk?
Yeah. So I mean, that's Elon's contention is that, a stalker could use this to follow him, but he's not. You can't take the tail numbers off of these planes, right? They have to have a transponder. It has to be public record. Should it not be public record, do you think?
You know what? That's above my pay grade. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see it being a security risk, but what can you do?
If you're curious, it's Twitter. It's Elon Jet, ELONJET. And you are Johnny Jet, interestingly enough, at johnnyjet.com. He know that. It always cracks me up on interviews where they go, you are Johnny Jet. Yes, I know that. Thank you.
It's Elon Musk Jet, by the way.
No, it's just Elon Jet.
Is it? Then there's two.
Oh, it's called Elon Musk's Jet, but it's at Elon Jet. This is the Jack Sweeney one.
So with two T's, that one. I'm looking at it right now.
Not two T's, one T. ELONJET.
Okay, because the one I follow is the one with just Elon Musk.
Well, no wonder you were bored.
Yeah, he's got 22,000 followers.
Yeah, no, this is the real one. 384,000 followers.
This one is Elon Musk Jet.
No, yeah, but it's the wrong one. I'm just telling you.
All right.
He's got 384,000 followers. ELONJET. It's Jack Sweeney's.
I gotcha.
Yeah. That's the real one. Anybody could do it, though. That's the point. It's an easy thing to do. You just have to. But Jack does a bunch of other people, too. He's got like 30 different. He's just some kid.
Well, Elon offered him $5,000, and then he turned it down. He wants a Tesla now.
Yeah, he's always wanted a Tesla. He ain't getting a Tesla.
Well, I think first he wanted him to pay for his school, which is
sorry, Jack.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not negotiating.
No. Let me see. He has a list of all the people he follows. Celebrity jets. He's got quite a few. U.S. Air Force VIP tracking. He's Floyd Mayweather's jet.
Wow. I got a question for you.
Mark Wahlberg's jet. Yes. That's you should follow that one. Celebrity jets.
Okay. Celebrity.
CLEBJETS. Because then you get all the celebrities. Jim Carrey's jet landed in Van Nuys just 46 minutes ago.
These guys don't mess around. They really don't.
Floyd Mayweather. That's hysterical. Mark Wahlberg.
My sister was at a really nice resort in Barbados a couple years ago with Mark Wahlberg during Christmas in Barbados. What's it called? Sandy Lane. And my nephew worked out with him every single day. He said he could not have been any nicer. And every day he was like, let's work out. And my nephew was late once and he gave him a hard time.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's teaching him, he's like, you got to be on time. Always be on time. I'm like, of course you should be on time for everything. So
you don't have to be on time for your workout.
Well,
come on.
If you're meeting somebody, I guess.
Yeah, so if you're meeting Marky Mark, okay, fine.
Yeah, I guess he was counting on him to to hold the weight for him.
Oh, to spot him.
It.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. You can't let Marky Mark lift his own. Do his own bench press, man. You got to keep. Somebody's got to keep an eye on that.
Especially how much weight this guy's pushing.
Yeah, I bet. A-Rod, Taylor Swift, Kylie Jenner. I'm amazed at who has private jets. Actually, That's just
during
wild.
the Super Bowl, you could see them all.
Jay-Z's, that was a fascinating.
They didn't have places to park them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Drake's jet just landed in Las Vegas. Okay.
One day.
Okay.
And have you ever been in a private jet, by the way?
Never.
Never.
And at this point in my life, I don't think I ever will.
I've been fortunate to be a few times, and it's amazing the way to travel. Except I don't think I'd want to fly overseas unless it's a much bigger jet. I think I've been in a G5 is the biggest I've been in.
G5 ain't bad. That's okay.
No, it's not bad, but still, I prefer like big wide bodies.
Yeah. If I were going to have my own private jet, I'd have a 737 at least. All right, Johnny.
Take care.
See you. Bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. On we go with the show. Kevin on the line from Riverside, California. Hello, Kevin.
Well, good afternoon, Leo.
Good afternoon.
I had an old computer, ended up getting the blue screen of death.
Uh-oh.
And we ended up getting the data off the hard drive, transferring it to a new computer. But now I've got this hard drive that I want to get rid of that data.
Yes.
But the computer won't boot, so how can I do that?
This is a very legitimate concern. Simpson Garfinkel, who is one of the guys who talks a lot about data erasure, did an experiment. He was at MIT, I think, at the time, and he bought a bunch of old hard drives off eBay. None of them had been fully erased, and many of them were from banks. There were a few from ATM machines, and every transaction was still on the hard drive. So now he says, interestingly, because he's an expert in this, that a lot of the data erasure tools you talk about I'm going to do a Department of Defense wipe, which means you write ones over it, you erase it. You write zeros over it, you erase it. You do that numerous times, which takes, of course, a lot of time, and that's the only way to erase it. He says, you don't ever have to worry about erasing it multiple times. If you overwrite it once, you're okay. There's always this presumption, well, somewhere in the CIA's basement, they've got some magic device that can read trace amounts of magnetic material and can tell what was on your drive. Unless you've got the CIA going after you, I wouldn't worry about it too much. There's also the British Secret Service. What is that? The MI5. Their rules are that you do that, you erase the drive, then you disassemble the drive, then you powder the drive, you grind it down into small fragments, and then you store it locked in a safe in the basement of MI6. So you can go a little crazy. I would say there's a couple of things you could do. If you want to donate that drive or sell it, then you probably do want to wipe it non-destructively. And there's a free program called DBAN, Derek's Boot and Nuke, that is designed to do this. And it'll do the many, many wipes and all of that stuff. It's free, dban.org. But as you say, you no longer have access to the computer. But the good news is you could put that on any other computer, hook up this old drive with a temporary interface. You can buy those for $30 or $40. It'll let you attach it and then erase it and then throw it away. If you don't care about, if you're just going to discard it, you don't care about selling it, but you just don't want anybody to be able to take anything off of it. The other thing you can do is kind of like what the MI6 does, which is you can open it up and you can smash the platters or bend the platters, and nobody's going to be able to recover anything from that. So you can physically do that. Those are your two choices. Actually, truthfully, even without opening it up, it might be enough just to run a big magnet over the thing. I tell you what, open it up, run a magnet over it, because the problem is the platters are inside a metal case. The magnet may not get through it. So open it up, and do the platters. Careful with those platters. We did this once on, this was a popular subject on the old TV show I did 20 years ago, mostly because it was good for TV. One of my co-hosts, Kevin Rose, decided to use thermite to destroy a drive, almost burned his house down. That was a bad idea. Don't do that.
That's a little over.
Then my friend Patrick Norton, my dear friend Patrick Norton, decided, well, we'll take a hammer, we'll open it up, take the platters, take a hammer to it. What he did not know, to his and my detriment, because I was a little close by, is that sometimes these platters are made of glass. And this one was, and it shattered in a million pieces. I'm just glad it didn't strike me in the eye. But we survived that one. But be careful, in other words. They're not. I think it's enough just to do a secure erase. Again, if you've already, the computer's not starting up, you can go out. Newer Tech and others sell these USB interfaces that you just take the drive out of the machine, plug it in, and then you can run DBAN. Or even the secure erase that comes with your operating system will work just fine. Macs come with a secure erase. I think Windows does as well. But you don't have to overwrite it 29 times. Ain't nobody got time for that. Just overwrite it once or twice is fine.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Hey, my pleasure. No thermite. Somewhere on YouTube, I believe both of those incidents live on. Yes, in fact, I can see it right now in our Discord chat. Do not hit these with a hammer in case they are made of glass. I will find Simpson Garfinkel's excellent article on this, and I will put it in the show notes. Let me see if I can find that, because he really is the expert. And these are from maybe 15, 20 years ago. He was a digital forensic expert, a disk forensic expert. John on the line from St. George, Utah. Hello, John.
Hi, Leo.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm a pretty basic cell phone user, but I use TracFone.
Okay.
I like a good value.
Yep.
And they've been good for me. But I want to upgrade my phone, and I was wondering if you had an opinion about Nokia phones. They have a 5G one, the G300. And on paper, the specs look good, but I don't know if they're going to live up to those, or if they're really reliable. I've seen some not a lot of information on the internet, but some complaints. And
so Nokia, which is of course was one of the most famous cell phone companies until this upstart called Apple came along and put them out of business. Actually, what really happened is Microsoft bought them, then put them out of business. Nokia was famous for making tires before phones. They went back to making tires, sold their phone division to a company called HMD Global. So those phones are not made by Nokia. They're made by HMD, which is, as it turns out, just across the street in Finland. They're good phones. They're not Nokia. They're just Nokia branded. But yeah, they're good phones. They're maybe not, their market is the less expensive phones. But they're Android phones for a couple of $100. I prefer the Moto phones myself. I would look at a Moto G9 just for comparison purposes. But if if you want a keyboard for these slide out phones, Nokia is kind of the last company still making those. So it depends on what features you want. Any Android phone, here's what you're really looking for. Ideally, you'd be getting Android 12, which is the current version, no older than Android 11. And you want a guarantee from the manufacturer that they will continue to push out security updates in a timely fashion for as long as you think you might want to be owning the phone. Nobody goes more than 4 years. That's the current Samsung and Google standard. But you'd want at least 2 or 3 years. You don't want a phone that in a year is going to be insecure. And so I don't know what Nokia's commitment is in that regard. But I would investigate that. Let me just see if they say anything on their website. Because that's really important.
Well, that's the thing. With TracFone, I don't think they have the G9.
Oh, yeah. You want to get something
Motorola, that you're talking about. But, they have more basic phones.
Right.
I don't need anything very demanding.
Again, it's just about security. Nothing wrong with these phones. I just don't. I'm looking to see if they have a statement somewhere about this.
What I've gathered is that Motorola for the track phones is not really guaranteeing much in the way of updates.
Then you don't want it.
Behind on updates and things like that.
That may also be related to TracPhone because there's a bandwidth concern, and some of these less expensive companies don't want to do the bandwidth thing. So I'm going to look and see what Nokia's commitment is, but you also have to ask TracPhone because, they have to push it out to you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And that's how fast are they going to update it, and how long are they going to keep it updated are very important. I'm just looking.
Yeah. Samsung has been, I guess, committing more to that, like 4 years.
There's
maybe to OS.
Yeah, it looks like.
So are you saying not have anything less than Android 11 because of security?
Yeah. That's a bad sign if they're not at least at 11. 11's been out for a year and a half. So that's a bad sign. But it looks like I'm looking at Counterpoint Research, which says that, in fact, Nokia is very good about this. So it sounds like maybe even security patch frequency share for top manufacturers through Q2 2020. Nokia is 100% on the monthly updates. That's better than anybody. So you are on the right track. This is from, I'll put a link in this, Counterpoint's 2020 Trust Rankings. So I was able to find that information. Sounds like Nokia is a good choice. Very solid. You should still ask TracPhone, what's your policy about pushing them out? Because they have to, Nokia provide them, but then that TracPhone has to push them out.
It sounds like their screens might crack easily, but maybe it's just
all screens crack easily. They're made of glass.
Yeah. Well, the complaints are like just way too easily cracked. A drop of like 3 inches or something like that. But
and Nokia guarantees 3 years, by the way, of monthly security updates. That's fine. That's really good. So, I don't know about reliability. That's interesting. That's a really good question. I don't have any data on that at all. They look like pretty good phones. Nokia's always made solid phones. Again, it's HMD now, but I would bet that these are no more vulnerable than any other manufacturers. Look at that. 2 full sets of OS software updates. They are guaranteeing Android 12 and 3 years of monthly security updates. That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good.
Would the only purpose of a dual SIM be if you wanted like 2 phone numbers on the same phone?
Yes, and it's much more prevalent in Europe where you have multiple carriers in a single region. There are many, you'd be moving just a little bit, and all of a sudden you need another SIM. Rarely do you need dual SIM in the U.S. There are some special reasons you might, especially if you travel.
Yeah, if I were traveling abroad,
right.
I guess a different SIM for that country, but would it be require GSM?
I'm sure all these Nokia phones are now compatible with modern networks. I don't think that's going to be an issue. The second SIM is nice because normally if you bought a SIM in France and used it, you'd have a French phone number. But you can, with a dual SIM phone, say, look, the phone it should be on my old SIM and data should be on my new SIM. And that's typically what you would want.
I think with this phone, though, it's CDMA. So is that
because it's TracPhone.
Yeah.
TracPhone. Yeah, you're not going to want to travel with that. You can go to Japan.
A lot anyway.
Yeah. Traveling overseas with a CDMA phone, usually problematic.
Okay. One more quick question. I have a Mac Mini, and I was wondering, I've got, I want to upgrade my monitor, but is there, I don't do gaming or anything like that, so I'm just wondering, is there anything wrong with using like a small 4K TV as a monitor.
Nothing wrong with it. What they are is not as high resolution. The demands of television aren't the same as a computer monitor. So you should look at, you may find that 4K is pretty good, but the text may not be as crisp. 4K is the right resolution, but it's not merely resolution. So it may not be as crisp, but try it. It may just be fine. It's how close are you going to be to the monitor?
Even if it's just a TV, it's not portrayed as a monitor.
Yeah, well, that's the difference. So computer monitors tend to be higher quality for text, so they're crisper. But the TV, a 4K TV, at least has the resolution you want. I think you'd probably be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're not sitting too close.
Monitors.
That's right. But there's a reason.
Yeah.
So in general, I prefer to use computer monitors, although I'm using essentially a 4K TV right now, and it's fine. So I think that a good 4K TV should be fine.
Oh, is that your 55-inch?
Yeah, that's an OLED. It's sold as a gaming monitor. It's 120 hertz refresh and all that. And text is fine on it. Doug M has an M1 Mini. He's using a LG 32-inch 4K he says it's perfect. So I think probably a modern 4K TV is fine. If you can, look at the text first and see if you're comfortable with that. That's where it'll fall down, maybe.
Is your 55-inch monitor, is that a TV?
It is not sold as a TV. It's sold by Dell as a gaming screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it is just a 4K. I suspect it's an OLED. I suspect these days 4K panels are probably the same for TVs and monitors. The circuitry in the monitor might be more tuned. Refresh rate and aliasing might be more tuned to a computer. I'm going to have to rethink I've always said always get a monitor, but now with the resolution of modern TVs, you're probably okay. Oh, wait a minute. That 32 UN 880 is a monitor, not a TV. Yeah, it's RGB versus 422, and that's the issue. If you could try before you buy, I would. John is saying something. Yeah, you're using your LG TV, your 37-inch, as a monitor, John, and it works fine. It's 27? 47, okay. C-Class OLED. And you drive your Mac Mini. Yeah, so John says he uses a TV with his, and it's great. As long as you get the 4K, you're probably fine.
Oh, great. Yeah, I've seen Hisense at Costco, and it's like 32-inch.
Yeah, they're cheap.
For about $150.
Yeah.
With the Roku built in. So,
yeah.
Looks attractive.
Yeah.
And they have such a great return policy.
Well, that's the thing. Take it home and see. And the thing to do is put a lot of text on the screen and see if it's fatiguing.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate your help.
My pleasure. Yeah. John says, turn off the local dimming in your settings if you're going to use it as a monitor. That's true. You wouldn't want that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Because you get shadows around stuff because it's doing local dimming. You want it to be consistent across the whole backlight.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. No, that's the beauty, Tokyo Tony. If you use whole drive encryption or any encryption on your computer, that stuff is gobbledygook. It's completely random, so you don't need to worry about that. Well, hey, or hoy, hoy, hoy. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Hour 3 of the Tech Guy Show. We talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and using a TV set as a monitor and track phones and anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can also call from anywhere in the world as long as you use Skype out or something like that. Shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. All the stuff we talk about ends up on the website, techguylabs.com. There'll be links there, including links to Professor Laura's fabulous musical selections. There'll also be transcripts and audio and video from the show. So it should all be there for you. It sometimes takes a couple of days after the show to get it up there. TechGuyLabs.com. George, Santa Monica, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, George.
Yeah, good afternoon, Leo.
Good afternoon.
I've been watching a video on YouTube. It's a hobo shoestring. He's a hobo that travels on trains around the world.
Oh, that's so cool.
The United States. And it's so interesting. And I've been trying to find out his email so I can email him a gift card so he can buy food as he travels. Because I want him to have food.
What an interesting YouTube channel. I wonder how he is uploading this. He says, I've been riding freight since 1989. I've gone over 2.7 million steel rails in 49 states, 8 provinces in Canada, 14 states in Mexico. Last year, he got an apartment because of medical issues. Now I understand. He says, it's hard having walls and a roof. I hate to be outside. I still stay gone riding more than I stay in the little apartment.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he mentions that when he travels, he stops at libraries in the cities he's in, and he downloads his stuff.
Oh, isn't that cool?
Phone.
So I'm looking on his YouTube channel. If you click the About tab, there is, he says, for business inquiries, here's my email address. I'll save you some time.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe I shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's there. He has a little capture there to make sure you're not a robot. I don't think we have any robots listening to this show. Trainrider_Mark@yahoo.com. What a story. 115,000 subscribers. This is a really good example of why we live in very interesting times. I mean, that makes a great YouTube channel, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great. I enjoy watching him travel.
And it's amazing that he can do this, you know? Yeah. I mean, in the past, you'd have to get the Travel Channel to back you, and, you know, you'd have to have a camera crew and microphones and all that, and he's just got a smartphone, and he goes to the library.
And he's got what do you call it, a solar panel, so when he's traveling, if the sun's shining, he can recharge his phone and his camera. Now,
I see? I'm watching one of the videos. He's living under a car. Do they chase him off?
Sometimes he'll get a notice to leave not trespass in the.
Here it is. Busted, but rolled on. Conductor at switch seen me. The boom slack action, always deafening. What? You know, if you need an example of how the internet has democratized media, this is it. You know, somebody like this would never have had a voice in the past, and now has a voice. In fact, not only has a voice, this particular video I'm looking at has 23,000 views. That's more than watch CNN in prime time. He's got 1.2 million views on his most recent. I mean, it's amazing. Well, thank you for telling me about that, George. And yeah, his email's in the About section there. And I kind of honor the guy for not saying, "Hey, give me money." Isn't that wild? He's just doing. I don't think he wants the money, but I think he'd appreciate and offer his support. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you. We live in very interesting times. We were talking in the first hour about how it's difficult for established media, newspapers, magazines, books, TV, radio, to kind of navigate our way, and I say our because I'm an old school media guy, in this new internet. 17 years ago, I had been fired at Tech TV. They sold the channel to Comcast, who promptly destroyed it. But I left. They canceled my show. That's what you call it in TV. I was canceled. They canceled my show. Went up to Canada to keep doing it. But at that time, I thought, I like talking about technology. I've been doing it on the radio for years. Why don't I just do my own thing? And this thing called podcasting had appeared in 2004, late 2004. I did this radio show as my first podcast in October 2004. Then the next year we started a podcast network, and it's basically been what Tech TV was over the internet for a much smaller cost, I might add. Anybody, blogs started this where you could just, all you needed was a website for a few bucks a month, and you could write your own columns and articles, and photographers could post their own images, and artists can post their own paintings, and on and on and on. And now with YouTube, what an amazing thing YouTube is. This show's on YouTube. Everything I do goes up on YouTube. We don't have a huge audience there. I maybe don't fit the YouTube mold that well, but boy, this hobo riding the rails does. He's got a lot more followers than I do. I think that's truly interesting. Thanks for telling me about that, George. Stephen on the line from Los Angeles. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Stephen.
Well, thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate it. So I did the Windows 11 upgrade, and when I go into Outlook, my contacts to like pay bills or whatever, and I did a search, it said no results found, which really freaked me out and made me sweat because I had to take another shower, so sweating so bad.
Wait, no results? I've never heard of a search with no results.
I know, and I see all these contacts for stuff that I don't even use anymore. And so, there's the top 10 that you use for paying bills or whatever websites you go to. And so then I thought, well, I'll just create a new contact and change the password. So then I go create a new contact, and then it would say, this already exists. Do you want to update it? And I'm going, well, then, Smarty Pants, Mr. Gates, where is it? And then I noticed that I think that when I look up at the top, it says it has one of my email addresses that I kind of use for spam. So it seems like the contacts are linked to one. I don't know what's going on.
They're tied to, and this is something I was talking about last hour, which is Microsoft now requires you to have a Microsoft account to use Windows 11. So everything's tied to your Microsoft account. When you set up Windows 11, you set it up with a Microsoft account, I presume, yes?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's all. That's where your contacts live. That's where your calendar lives. You have an Outlook mail at that address. There's all sorts of stuff. Your OneDrive. So you can create new accounts and you can use other accounts, but whatever account you use to set up Windows 11, that's the default account unless you go through some steps to change it. Maybe that's the one you use for spam now. I don't know. If that's what's showing up at the top of the screen, that's probably the account you used to sign up. Maybe you thought, well, I'm going to use this because I don't want Microsoft to, know it's me. Well, bad news. That Windows install and all the data that's associated with it is now tied to that account. So that's what you need to know is what Microsoft, and you can find that out if you look in your Windows about this machine. You can find out what account it is. That's your so-called MSA, Microsoft Services account. That is the default account for everything. This is the way things are going. Facebook wants you to have an account. Google wants you to have an account. Apple and Microsoft all want you to have an account. Why? Well, they're going to give you a lot of reasons, but I think we know why. So they can associate it with you and track you. And now Microsoft's going to make everybody, even with Windows 11 Pro, have a Microsoft account to use the operating system. It's kind of unheard of. It's kind of the way we're going. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. More of your calls coming up in just a little bit. Dick DiBartolo, our Gizmo hound, just around the corner, too. 888-827-5536. More calls right after this. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Mukala on the line from Orange County, California. Hi, Mukala.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Good. So I got a quick question. So I had an old iPad lying around, and I was thinking maybe I can use that as a display on my car. Mirror my phone to it and use it as a CarPlay. Is there a way to do that, maybe?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. So you'd hook the iPad up to your sound system in the car? Is that what you want to do?
Basically, I want to mirror my phone to that iPad.
Yeah.
I'd fix the iPad on the car and make it like...
Yeah, mirror your phone to the iPad. Honestly, the iPad has the capabilities of the phone, except for the internet. So the easiest thing to do would be to hotspot your phone and give the iPad that internet capability and then just use the iPad. Mirroring your iPhone to your iPad, I'm trying to think if I'm missing something. I don't think you can do that. I don't think there's a...
I think there is a way, but it's kind of...
Mirror your...
haywire
you
way.
can mirror to an AirPlay device, which would be an Apple TV.
Okay.
I don't think there's a way to mirror to an iPad specifically.
I know there is an app.
Wait a minute. Somebody's got something here in our chat room. Kev Brewer's how to mirror iPhone to iPad. Wow, I can't believe it. This is from a Tenor Share. Can I screen mirror phone to iPad? Apple allows its devices through AirPlay, but these would have been mirroring your phone to a TV. Okay, no. How to mirror iPhone to iPad? Many apps are available. Okay, so you need an app to do that. Okay, So here's one. Screen mirror iPhone to iPad by EasyCast. EasyCast is the app. You put it on the iPad and the iPhone. On the iPhone, you choose broadcast. Okay, fine. Yeah.
There is an app actually called Ignition. But it works only on the jailbreak devices.
Yeah. You don't want, believe me, you don't want a jailbreak. That's so it looks like you can also do it with VNC compatible device software. TeamViewer, for instance, you could run TeamViewer on your iPad. Looks like you might be able to do it with AirPlay. Huh.
How about cables? Is there any cables connections maybe we can use?
No. You know, there is one thing, I don't think this is going to help you with mirroring an iPhone. Apple is now with Monterey, this will be coming out in 15.4, allowing you to mirror but control both your iPad and your computer. That's not going to solve it either. Yeah, I think you're going to have to, I think you're going to have to use something like TeamViewer or some third-party software. And it's going to be tricky because I'm not even sure why this would be preferable, because your iPad is going to have to be on the same network as your iPhone. I do know a lot of people who've taken iPads and mounted them on their dashboard. That premise is okay, but I would say it'd be a lot easier not to try to tie it to your iPhone. If you need the network connection, certainly you can hotspot your iPhone to the iPad. But I don't think mirroring it is the best way to do it. I'll tell you what, I'll put a link to the show notes for a couple of things that programs that'll do this, particularly to this article. But I think this is going to be kind of a funky solution. Somebody's mentioning Duet Display, but that is from Mac to iPad. I don't think that's from iPhone to iPad. Interesting question. It's definitely a good do-it-yourself, and do not jailbreak. Jailbreaking these days is really just a recipe for disaster, I think. Mark on the line, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hi, Mark. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Good to talk to you again, my friend.
Nice to hear from you. What's up?
Hey, my debit card just recently expired, and I got a new one in the mail, and I bank with Chase. So I got the new card in the mail, and there's a flyer in there that says, well, gee, now that you got this new card, you can sign it up to Apple Pay or Google Pay or Samsung Pay.
Right.
What?
You can sign any credit card up with those, by the way. It doesn't have to be that particular debit card. In fact, you'd be better off not using a debit card, but using a credit card, only because banking rules mean you're more protected with a credit card against fraudulent charges than you are with a debit card.
Right, but what's the benefit of using that versus just using the card?
Oh, they're pretty minor, but there are some. Apple Pay in particular is more private. So you've probably been to this grocery store or some store where you could tap to pay. You can either use your phone, or if you have an Apple Watch, you can use your Apple Watch. I use that all the time. And when you're using iPhone, I don't think Google Pay maybe Google Pay does this. I'd have to look into it. When you're using an iPhone, it doesn't actually send your credit card information or your name or anything to the store. It gives them a token. There's a system for doing this. It sends them a token which they use to charge that account without getting any personal information. So there's one advantage is privacy. Mostly, though, it's convenience because you don't have to. In fact, I had plenty of arguments when Apple Pay first came out saying, well, what's so hard about taking a credit card out, right? Especially modern credit cards which tap to pay. So if you like the tap to pay feature, a lot of credit cards, you look for that. There's a little logo. It looks like a sideways Wi-Fi logo, and that means you can tap the credit card on the device. So the biggest convenience is, I just take out my phone instead of my wallet. Okay, fine.
And then one of the things it said in the brochure or the flyer was that you actually at some ATMs, you don't even need to have your card.
That's right. Nowadays, you'll go up to an ATM and you'll see a tap to pay logo and you have to have a little device there because you're using NFC, near field communications to signal that you're nearby. So so that actually, I'll give you one argument the chat room just mentioned. Brian W. Good catch. There is a problem these days with credit card readers in public, ATM machines, gas stations, things like that. Bad guys have been known to slip in little devices that capture your MAG card, and then they come back later and they have all these MAG cards. They have all the credit card information. So if you're that's one other reason to maybe use this. It might be a little bit more secure.
So it can go around the skimmer.
It goes around the skimmer, exactly. I use it all the time just for convenience. And I think all of them, NFC, which means GPay, as well as Samsung Pay and Apple Pay, give you that kind of privacy feature. So that's another good reason. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I have to say, I have become, but I'm wearing an Apple Watch, so I've become, especially during COVID, I don't want to touch anything. So I love the touchless payment. I use it all the time now. So that's the argument for it. And I guess that's the other thing somebody brought up. You lose a credit card, they can use it. But these touch-to-pay systems are authenticated, usually using fingerprint or face, so it's more secure that way as well. So actually, there's some pretty good arguments for using it. Try it. There's no cost. The point is there's no cost except your time to set it up, and it doesn't take that long.
No cost to me, but somebody's got to be paying.
Yeah, the credit card fees pay for it, just like they always do.
Well, the stores probably get stuck with some fees, right?
Stores were required to update their systems by the credit card companies to support, they were required to update to support PIN and chip, or I guess it's chip and sign is the new technology. And they were required to do that a couple of years ago. And when they did it, they added, in most cases, they had touch to pay. Something like 80% of all retail institutions now accept touchless payment. So they did absorb that cost. They had to do it anyway for federal regulations. But and they pay 3, 4, 5% credit card fees, so they're paying in that. I don't think I think it's the same thing as a credit card. It's just a little more secure.
Right.
And I actually love it.
Stuff,
And do it. I would do it. I can't think of any downside. Well, there's one potential downside, which is Google now is going to have a record of your transactions.
You pretty much already have all that anyway.
Yes, they do. I gave up worrying about that a long time ago. Yeah, they know all this. So what? Big deal, right? Just don't rob a bank.
No.
I wouldn't. Yeah. It's easy to catch you these days. No, I think I use it all the time. I use Samsung Pay, Google Pay, and Apple Pay. I've used all three. Samsung Pay has one additional feature, I think they still do in their current devices, which is it doesn't work just with touchless payment systems. It works with the old school mag stripe systems. They have kind of a magnetic projection system built into the phone, so you can use anything, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, one thing you said early on after my question was something I really should do is get away from using the debit card and just use a credit card.
Yes. Yeah, there's a strong argument for that in terms of risk. Although I use debit cards a lot You know, the thing about Google Pay and Apple Pay is you can attach any payment system you want, and it's as convenient as a debit card. So, you know. Did they stop, Scooter X saying they stopped emulating the Mag Stripe? Oh, well. I'm getting a new Samsung phone, so I guess I won't have that feature anymore. Fortunately, very few people still require Mag Stripes.
Hey, one other thing. You talked about the Chrome Flex earlier.
Yeah.
I was looking at that and the list of approved Macs, and there are no fully approved Macs in their list.
Yeah, but they say minor problems, and I think one of them is the keyboard on laptops. I'm not sure. Yeah.
And it's not a very big list. Not a very big list.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's hard to put Linux on a Mac, too. They have so much proprietary hardware.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me a long time ago.
Yeah. Hey, a pleasure talking to you, Mark. Stay in touch. Don't be a stranger.
Always.
All right. Hey, thanks. Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, you want to talk high tech, let's do it. We got a few more minutes. And then Dick DiBartolo, our gizmo wizard, stops by with a gizmo or a gadget. Greg is on the line from Australia, from Sydney. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. You're up early.
Not too bad. It's 8:12 in the morning.
Oh, that's not so bad.
We've been up a little while.
Good.
That's correct. But it's a Sunday morning for us.
Nice.
Leo, I've been a long-time fan. I was wondering if you can help me with some questions regarding I'm drowning in photos.
Oh, I'm living that life.
So here it's actually a double-barreled question. If you can help me out.
Okay.
So I've got, like everyone, we've got an iPhone or a camera phone, and I've got a nice Sony camera. And you take the memory stick out, or I take the iPhone and I download the pictures and I put them into my folders, which is a window machine. And we categorize the folders, by year. So, 1986, 1996, et cetera, and then the month and then maybe even the event. And I put that in Lightroom and it's fantastic. And I can't get Lightroom to sync in the cloud because once you created the folders, unless I create catalogs, which means doing it all over again, it won't sync. So I said, okay, stuff that. We'll try Google Photos. And Google Photos has changed because all my photos that were on my computer that I sync to Google Photos, they don't sync. You've got to keep re-uploading them. So that's that issue. So all I'm doing at the moment is syncing into the cloud with Dropbox. But Dropbox is a great file sync. It doesn't allow my buddies or family to look at my photos.
Right.
As we edit them. It's not a viewer. It's a file viewer. It's not like Google Photos or Lightroom. So I was wondering if you can help me regarding something that I can sync to the cloud, but if I make a change in Lightroom, or on the file, it gets synced and those changes get reflected in the cloud, if you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and of course, Adobe, what they changed was they want you to buy their cloud, and which is not cheap, and then it will all work. But I don't want to spend money.
I bought their cloud,
and it still doesn't do what you want it to do.
You saw Lightroom Classic. It has the folders.
Yeah.
Which you can create, but then you've got to create collections.
Yeah, they probably want you to use the new Lightroom, and I bet it all works. Yeah.
It does.
These guys all have economic motives. They're kind of trying to, lead you like a rat in a maze down the right rabbit hole. Oh, I've confused marsupials. And no, they're not marsupials.
I get that.
So I think Google Photos is a good choice. There is a Google Photos uploader for desktops. Have you used that?
I have, but I don't know.
It's not keeping it up to date.
No. So if I load a photo from last week and I made a change today, it uploads the change today in addition to last week.
Oh, I see. You want it to update the photo. Yeah, see, he doesn't have the intelligence to do that. It doesn't. Yeah, it would have to know that that's the same photo, and it doesn't. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to just. If I took a picture last week of my kids in the playground, and I made it black and white today, this afternoon, then we'll upload that second photo. I don't want that. I just want that photo last week with the adjustments. And I don't know what to do.
So the one solution would be, instead of editing it locally, is edit it in Google Photos. If you did that, obviously it would know, oh, this is the same photo, but you took the red eyes out and something like that. But
that's a good idea.
Yeah, you understand why it can't do what you want it to do. People would get upset because they'd say, well, wait a minute, I wanted both copies. They're not going to ever delete the original in favor of the edit. Lightroom will do that because Lightroom knows what edits you've performed, and all of those are non-destructive anyway, so it just applies those to the existing photo, and you can always get the original back at any time. That's why you would use Lightroom. But if it's not synchronizing to your satisfaction,
Well, this leads me to the second part of my question, if you've got the time and it's okay, is I use my phone to take pictures, proper pictures of my family and young kids, etc., of going out on holiday. But I also use my phone to take pictures of everything, like a receipt of
yes, as do I. License plates, parking spots, so I can find my car again, all that. All that junk.
And I don't want all of that junk lifted into the cloud because I don't need it.
Well, and that's both Google Photos and Apple are starting to say, oh, yeah, we get it. You have photos of stuff you don't really want to treat like your family photos. And Google will periodically say, oh, you want me to sweep these into the archive? Because I know you don't want that receipt. So that's where you can trust Google somewhat to do that job. Somebody's suggesting, and I think this is true, I use this, I love SmugMug. If you're a serious photographer, you might be familiar with them. They're not owned by any big company. They're owned by the McCaskells, smugmug.com. They bought Flickr recently, and there is a sync from Lightroom tool that's very good that will, in fact, I believe, distinguish between edits and originals, that will actually say, oh, you've got an edit, let me replace the original with that. So SmugMug is not...
That would be super.
Yeah, I would look at the SmugMug support, but they're saying it'll do that. I've been a SmugMug Pro member for as long as they've been around. I'm a big fan. That's where I store my best pictures. They're not free. That's the disadvantage.
No, I don't mind paying for it because I spend so much time curating and doing it.
Yeah.
These guys, they're entitled to earn a living and run a service.
Yeah.
It provides.
I prefer, precisely.
Absolutely, because if I have to spend, if I'm spending so much time, as I said, drowning because I'm deleting photos and
right,
it's mucking up my sync.
Plus, if you're not paying for it, they're paying for it somehow. I would far prefer to pay a reasonable amount of money for a service that I really use and not have them spy on me and stuff like that.
No, exactly. I agree with you 100%.
SmugMug has that sharing feature. The other reason I like SmugMug is I can tell people you can buy if they say I want a print. Oh, no problem. Just go to the page and you can order a print right there. I don't have to worry about it. Take a look at SmugMug. They have, for Lightroom Classic, they have a plugin, and then they have a connector with Lightroom CC, the new one. And I may be mistaken that it might be the same situation where you need Lightroom CC. I'm not sure. But take a look at their plugin for Classic.
I will.
I think these guys, you can email them or chat with them. They're very, very good. They're very proactive because it's a family-run small business, and they want to do a good job. And they deserve. I should give them more love.
Your sponsor before, so I've been a long-time listener, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, they're not a sponsor. I wish they were, but I am happy to give them a plug, Greg. And I'm so happy you listen in Sydney, one of my favorite cities in the world.
You've got a big fan base here, and we love. I haven't been to Petaluma, but I've been to the States. We've got family in Irvine.
Nice.
It's a great part of the world. So, but thank you very much for your help, and you have a great day.
Good. I hope it helps. You have a wonderful Sunday. all the way in Sydney, where it is tomorrow already. Yeah, I should give SmugMug more plugs because I really love these guys, and I think they have a great service. It's where Leo.camera, which is my personal photo site, really is just a SmugMug gallery. They do a nice job of that as well. The Gizmos coming up next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's the way he likes it. Dancing into our studios, it's Disco Dick DiBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and our Gizwiz. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I am good. You know, a few minutes ago you were talking about Twit and your career in different shows.
Career, I guess you could call it that, but okay.
No, it is a career.
Okay.
Only because you got nothing else going for you.
I got nothing else going, so.
That's right.
Well, it's a hobby, it's a career, But anyway.
So tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow, February 20th.
Mm-hmm.
16 years of Gizwiz.
You're kidding.
No.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The first one was February 20th, 2006.
As I think about it, for you, this is nothing. You've been you've been in every issue of Mad Magazine for 5 decades.
Yes. But podcasting was new.
I have the thank you for the autographed Mad Magazine.
No problem. No problem.
Look up in the sky. It's absurd. It's insane. It's super mad. Is this Superman issue?
No, it's, DC Comics, I think it might be next week, is coming out with, I think it's Super Pets, the movie.
Ridiculous. So this is Pets.
And that doggy is in that movie, I do believe.
And here's a spy versus spy with a kitty cat.
Yeah.
And what did you write in this issue?
I did the takeoff on Willard. Do you remember Willard?
Willard, the rat. Yes.
Yeah, and I called it Willies.
Willie, give me the Willies. Yeah.
Give me the Willies.
Very cute. With Ernest Borgnine.
Yes.
There it
very
is.
Very good.
The Willies.
Very good.
Yes.
The Willies.
Wow. So Dick joins us every week, not just to talk about Mad Magazine, although, frankly, I'm a huge fan, but also to talk about a gizmo or a gadget, something he's excited about.
So I have mixed feelings about this, and you can tell me your feeling. I have a ton of things plugged in around my desk, and I thought, let me see what is the biggest power strip I can buy that's not a huge form factor, and I found the 22 outlet power strip.
What? That looks like a joke. Holy cow.
Yeah, plus 6 USB charging ports. Okay.
That should be enough for anybody. That whole house is going to come down around your head. You plug that in.
I know. Now, the thing is, when I quickly looked at the description and it said UL, and then after I got it, I was rereading it, and it says plug and power cord, UL approved.
Yeah.
But it didn't say anything about the unit itself.
I'm not sure you should plug 22 separate devices into a single outlet.
I'm not sure. It's still 15 amps, so it's a max of 1,875 watts. The thing is, all the LED lights around here are like 6 watts.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's I paid $40 on
and
Amazon.
It's from the well-known company Super Danny. So
you know what? They actually have a very impressive store.
The Super Danny store?
Store. And also, it got 4.9 stars from 400, and now it's up to 440 reviews. And all but 2 are verified, meaning they bought the unit.
Wow. All right. I'm very tempted because there's never enough plugs.
No, absolutely not.
And in fact,
I know.
I want to take it to a hotel room because, you go to unless it's a modern hotel, there's very rarely more than one plug socket, convenient.
Well, this will be as many plugs as you want. And all the outer plugs are big. They have a lot of space for transformer.
Are they
plugs.
tilting ones too? Do they do that?
No, I wish they were. In the photo, I thought they were.
They're so
and when I
close.
got them, I thought they tilted out, but they don't.
Yeah.
They make it so that you can bolt it to a wall if you want to. They're those little eyelets in the back.
Okay. Boy, that's tempting. And 6 USB outlets, huh?
6 USB outlets. It's 2100 joule surge protection, and there's 3 little LEDs up top that show you that it's grounded, that the surge protection is in use, and then there's a little yellow LED light that will come on to tell you if the surge protection has tripped.
I think Super Danny, by the way, is in that new DC comic. The new DC movie. That might be Super Danny right there. Yeah.
It could be. It could be.
So you didn't blow a fuse when you plugged it. Did you plug? Did you use every one?
No. Now I have to buy stuff to plug in. I only had 17 things to plug in, so I have to buy 5 things.
Do you think they just they sent just the cord and a couple of plug sockets to the UL, the underwriters lab, and said test these?
I don't know, because interestingly, I could not find. I searched for UL approved power strip, and a different ETL comes up as certified. Some other.
Does it also have 22 plugs and 6 USB ports?
No. This is the most that I could find anywhere.
This looks like a joke. Like.
Well, it almost does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it almost looks like something Mad.
It's like a Mad Magazine thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The Super Danny surge protector with 22 AC outlets and 6 USB charging ports, 1,875 watts. You know, that's not much more than a blow dryer. So 15 amps.
You're absolutely right.
2,100 joules. I always wonder how many joules. 6.5-foot flat plug heavy-duty extension cord for home office, dorm, gaming room, black. Or get it in white. Either way.
Oh, it seems to disappear in white.
It goes away, doesn't it? You notice sometimes, now this one they don't do it. Sometimes they charge more for a better color.
Oh, they do. They charge a ridiculous amount.
Yeah,
it's
that's
$8
crazy.
more.
Yeah, it's like, because I'm making it red, you're going to charge me $8 more?
Yeah.
All right.
You can get a little heavy-duty extension for $1.
The Super Danny, ladies and gentlemen. And if you would like to win an autographed copy of this Super Pets Mad Magazine, there is a way to do that. Go to gizwiz.biz. That's, again, Dick's website, gizwiz.biz, and click the button that says, "What the heck is it?" contest. And you can identify a close-up of a gizmo or gadget. The game's almost over, right? It's the end of February.
End of February,
9 more days before the prizes are awarded. There are 6 autographed copies of Mad Magazine for the right answer, 12 for the best wrong answer, funniest wrong answer, cleverest wrong answer.
Yeah.
Has anybody guessed it yet?
One person so far, but I haven't read through them all.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, after the last one where like 75 people knew.
Yeah. And while you're there, there's Mad Magazine memorabilia, all the things he mentions on this show, all the things he does on ABC's World News Now. He appears there every month. All sorts of great stuff. It's a great site. Gizwiz.biz. Don't forget Dick's fabulous podcast with Chad Johnson every week. If you like this gadget, there's like many, many more.
Yes, exactly.
Lots of stuff. Gizwiz.tv. Thank you, Dickie D.
Okay, buddy. See you next week.
See you next week. My thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director, who picked a lot of train and prison songs today. Thanks also to our phone angel, Kim Schaffer, for answering the phones. Thanks most of all to you for joining us, for listening in, for calling in. Really appreciate it. If I didn't have this, I'd have to get a real job. So I thank you very much. Be back next time. The website, techguylabs.com, has links to all the stuff we talked about today, so you don't have to write it down or search around. techguylabs.com, free, no sign up. And I'm about to go off and do an interview with my friend Amy Webb about her new book on biotech, synthetic biology, that's even scarier than a cyber attack. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.